Welcome back to Max Trades Crypto. Today we're going to be going over 3 scenarios on the chart that are likely to occur. So, starting on scenario 1, we are currently in a larger WXY correction and we have finished off this correction. Now we are looking for a 5-wave structure to the upside like this. Right? If I were to do some education for you guys, oftentimes when we end a 3-wave correction, often an A, then a B, and a C, or a WXY, very similar, we then have a 5-wave structure to the upside. So, if we are looking for that 5-wave structure now to the upside, we are looking for this purple mark here. We can see here a 1 in a leading diagonal, a 2 down, 3 targeting 103,302, followed by a 4 and a wave 5. Now, there are 2 issues with this scenario at the moment. Issue 1, we have a wave 1 up and a wave 2 that does not touch even the 0.236 on the chart you can see here, or maybe just doesn't even touch the 0.236 on the chart if we mark this as our wave 2. This is very, very unlikely for a wave 2. The common targets for a wave 2 sit between the 0.5 and the 0.786 Fibonacci target here. Very unlikely for price not to touch this area without a deeper retracement before that wave 3 up. Then the second issue with this chart is that we have a touch of the 0.886. Now, if we are to look here, we can see that we did indeed come up all the way back down, but did not take the low. This is a problem because we have now touched the 0.886, which means we are in an area where it is likely to be taken again. Once the 0.886 is touched, the likelihood that we are then to take this prior low is indeed now very high. So please look out for that move that takes this low out at 74,900. Now, the actual third issue with this chart here is that we have currently moved up in a 1, 2, 3, you can see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but now we have this very long range. Now, if we are to count this as a 1, 2, 3 and count this as the range, this range is still very, very long in time compared to our little wave 2 over here. So we are still looking for possibly a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a large extended wave 5, but also very, very unlikely here. So that is the first scenario, not the most likely scenario, but we have to keep it on the chart just in case it does play out. Probabilities here are around, I would say, 10% for this scenario to play out. Now, if we look at our second scenario on the chart, we are looking at this one here, where we have a possible W down in an ABC, standard ABC, followed by an X up, a WXY inside the wave X, and then followed by the wave Y down that is still to occur. Hopefully an A B, and a wave C. Now, if this looks complicated, it's because it actually is. So if we are to look at it on an education perspective, we are normally looking in a correction for a ABC or a WXY, very, very similar structures, except in a WXY, we are looking for 3-wave structures throughout, which means inside the W, we are looking for an A B, a C. Inside the wave X, we are looking for an A, B, C, and inside the wave Y, another A, B, C. So, if we go back to our chart now that you can understand, we then have an A, B, C in wave W, followed by that an A, B, C in the W here, an A, B, C in the X here, and then an A, B, C in the wave Y, finishing off that X. So X can actually be any corrective structure, so we labeled this as a W, then a WXY inside the wave X, followed by we are looking for an ABC. This would take targets to around this let's actually measure here. So if we take from the length of W to the top of wave X, we can see here that the 1-to-1 sits at about 64,000. I actually already have it on the chart, $64,051. That is where this wave Y would end. But we might possibly target the 0.618, also another common target for the wave Y, at $76,000. This scenario is more likely to play out than the bullish scenario we had here earlier. Let me just put that 1-to-1 back on the chart. Then for our last scenario and our main scenario on the chart, we are looking at this scenario here. A lot more simple, a lot more that you can understand here. So we have, on the bigger time frame, a 5-wave structure up. I'm not going to talk about that now because that's on the daily and weekly time frame. But here on this corrective structure, we have an A, B, and a wave C, right? We are looking for a 5-wave structure in A, a 3-wave structure in B, followed by a 5-wave structure in C, the standard 5-3-5 in an A, B, followed by C. So here, if we are to take this structure as our main scenario, we can see we have a 5-wave structure in wave A, followed by a 3-wave structure now in wave W of B. So inside this B, we are looking for either an ABC or a WXY. B can also be a very large amount of different corrective structures. So at the moment, we are looking at this as our main scenario. A up, B down in this little possible triangle here. Let me actually zoom in a bit for you guys. So A up, as we see here, B down, and C up in the last 5-wave structure here. We're now looking to take this possible one more high, so possibly moving this wave 5 to the right, taking this high here, and then the drop to occur in an ABC or WXY in wave X. This structure would look something along the lines of this. We would have a move up, where's my brush, a move up, 3-wave move down, and a 3-wave move up. So you can see we've had 3 waves, and then 3 waves there. This is the very common corrective structure. Followed by that, we would see another 5-wave structure down in wave C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, taking the low of A. Very, very common structure here. If we are to look at the targets for the wave B, the common target for wave B is the 0.618 to 0.886. And if we are to measure that here, we can see common target here sits at this level here, from $94,900 to $101,258. Let's change this to yellow so it indicates the B wave. So this would be indeed the end of the B wave, followed by that 5-wave structure down in wave C. Now, if we are to delete all of these for now, we can see on a trend line perspective, I've put quite a few trend lines here just to show you guys where we are sitting. So on the 4-hourly chart, we can see here that this trend line here was actually now touched. So let's remove this one. This trend line here has been working quite well, was actually touched, and we rejected off that perfectly, right? On the more imminent time frame, we can see here that I've drawn a trend line from the bottom to the top of our range, and it is also being respected here. You can see here this trend line here is indeed being respected. If we break this trend line, the likelihood that we are going a lot lower is indeed high, and the likelihood that we have started that A, B, C structure down is also higher. But if we find support here, break through this triangle as well that I've marked off here, the likelihood we are going to make a new high, possibly to 97, 98, $100,000 is also then higher. So do look out for those trend lines on the chart. Then looking at our long-term fair value gaps, or actually here short-term fair value gaps, let's do that one. We are looking to take or possibly close off these on the daily time frame. We have a few here that are sitting very, very close to us below, and we can possibly find support off these fair value gaps and then off up, or now that we have touched one, likelihood to close below this fair value gap also increases. So look out for these fair value gaps on the charts on the daily time frame. We do have 3 major ones below us, but I doubt we are closing those in the next few days. These ones are more likely up here to be closed in the next few days. Now, for trade possibilities starting on the 4-hourly time frame. On the 4-hourly time frame, I would long from this target zone over here at $81,000 to $84,000, targeting that Y move towards the upside. That is our main long target that I would pursue at the moment. If you want a slightly more risky target risky move for the 4-hourly time frame, you can short from where we currently are in this range here. Breaking down from this range could indeed form that ABC down into this target box of wave X, which would be quite a nice short, targeting around that, let's see, in percentage wise, 10 to 15% region, right? If we are to target this wave X towards the downside. But that is a riskier trade, as we could still indeed go slightly more up before coming down. So please do indeed be careful. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Do join the Discord in the description for daily updates, and join the YouTube channel down below. But it's been Max Trades Crypto. Cheers, guys.